Okay, welcome back to the ConcordTV podcast, where we talk about what is happening in our community and what's happening at your community media station. Last time we talked with Emmett, who is a media assistant with ConcordTV, and now today, as I should look at my camera for those of you watching on YouTube, but today I'm with Joe, who is a volunteer with us, and he's a student at Plymouth State University. So thanks, Joe, for agreeing to be on the podcast too with us.
Thank you for having me on.
So you just came in a couple days ago for a tour, and now you're going to be back helping us volunteering over the next couple weeks. Give us just a little background sort of about yourself and how you ended up in this room here today.
Yeah, I'm originally from Massachusetts, and then during freshman year, my whole family moved up here because we've always just wanted to live in New Hampshire, and I've always been like a media nerd, like always like with editing and just TV shows and movies, stuff like that. And then last year I did business administration and I hated it. So I was like, I'll just do what I actually want to do instead of torture myself. So I switched over this year, and then the school didn't really help me find any like internships or anything. So I just like went out myself and saw like what was nearby. You guys were like the best one I saw so far. So I was like, oh, I'll call them and see how, or send them an email and see how that goes. And it's been, like I said the last time I was in here, I feel like my head's gonna explode with all the like equipment and in a good way. Yeah, in a good way. I was like, oh my god, this isn't like the crappy storage closet with like only 10 cameras that they don't tell you how to use in Plymouth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that we've made this a pretty cool, accessible place. But you would use the phrase, or I don't know if you said it or I may have said it last time you were here, but hidden gem. A lot of people kind of come in and they're like, I had no idea this was here. We gave a tour to a group yesterday where same thing. Oh, my God, I had no idea this was here. This is such a hidden gem. And, you know, it's a compliment. I wish we weren't such a hidden gem. We're working on that so more people know about it. But it is pretty remarkable when I take a step back and that we have this here in Concord. Yeah. That a lot of towns don't have this. I'm sure Barnstead doesn't have this. I'm sure
they have nothing.
A lot of surrounding towns don't have this type of facility and staff and everything like that.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, as far as I know, I don't think Barnstead has anything. I don't think any like town near here has anything like that at all.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. There are access stations all across New Hampshire in a lot of the bigger towns. Yeah. You go south of Concord, they have in Londonderry, Manchester, Derry, Manchester, Nashua. But small towns, especially the ones around Concord, like Bow, Loudon, Barnstead, don't have an access station and don't have one close to them. So that's interesting that, you know, we primarily serve Concord residents, but we get a lot of people from even the surrounding towns that go, hey, I didn't know about this, or hey, this is interesting to know it exists. And you were kind of saying before that you are a TV and movie junkie, that you're just into this stuff. Yeah. Are there areas specifically that you do like, you know, technical things? Do you like creating? Have you done like YouTube creation before and stuff like that? Yeah,
I've done like a little bit of YouTube, but it's just like, wow, 5 views today. and like that's it. But I still like it. I like the whole like part of it. I'm not like big on the acting part. I'll do it if like I have a project. I'll like, all right, I'll suck it up and I'll give my best. But I do like the technical part of it and like the actual creation part of it, like the writing of it, editing it, putting it all together. That's like, that for me is like the best part.
The behind the scenes is a fun part. And especially working in this industry for a while, it sort of changes the way, like for me, it changes the way that I watch television, and the way I watch movies. Is sort of always thinking, it's both a blessing and a curse, because it's always thinking, well, how did they do that? Well, how did they, you know, how did they edit this together? How did they put this together? Are you kind of doing that too, sort of?
I do that all the time. Yeah. And I'm like watching a movie with my girlfriend. I'm like, they cut that right there. They filmed that twice. And she's like, what? Trust me, they did it twice. Like, yeah.
If you have a sharp eye, there was I was just watching a video where the director of the Knives Out movies, Rian Johnson, was talking about one of his scenes from the one that just came out, Glass Onions. Yeah. And there's a cutaway scene where you see like a bicycle kickstand like kick to the ground.
Yeah.
And he goes, you can tell we shot that multiple times because there's already scuffs on the cement.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's such a small detail. I wouldn't have even noticed that. But he was like, oh, that's a continuity error. Like, whoops.
I kind of realize some of the continuity stuff now. Like, if I ever I do like machinimas, like they'll like use a game as your footage and then edit it. Like if you know like Total War, it's always like it's like big battles. So I just do. I don't upload any of them. I just haven't finished them.
Yeah, I've played Rome Total War a bunch. Yeah.
So like you can film a lot of crazy stuff, and then I'm like continuity error, like error. Like whenever I like watch it back, and it changes the way how you really watch it. Yeah. And like edit it too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, again, like I said, it's a blessing and a curse because I enjoy watching things and being able to kind of critique. I know on, like, the Concord TV's Instagram page, I follow a bunch of, like, behind the broadcast Instagram accounts where they'll show you, like, what's happening behind the scenes. And I just sort of, like, geek out over that.
Yeah, me too. That's, like, yeah. I like learning about, like, if I can, like, learn, like, if I watch a movie that I really like, I always try to see if there's, like, a behind-the-scenes thing.
Yeah.
And there's not, like, a lot of good, like, behind-the-scenes, like, things anymore. It's just kind of, like, they just show slow-motion shots of everything, and I'm like, no, just like, how did you do this?
How did you do it? Not don't try to impress me. Just show me how you did it.
It's like, oh, I loved working with this actor. He's great. And then slow motion shots. I'm like, no, show me it.
One of the classic ones is the documentary of the making of Phantom Menace, Star Wars Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Which, love or hate the movie, it'll help feed your hatred of the movie if you don't like it, but it shows with the different, the costuming and the set pieces, like the miniature set pieces that they use to make like these large scenes, but in like small scale. So that kind of stuff I totally geek out over as well.
Yeah.
Even in our own studio, we had a tour group in the fall, or they came in for a workshop, just like you did. They came in to see the station. And we were actually producing like a candidate debate, like a local candidates debate that night. And I just said, you can just watch. If it's boring, you can leave anytime. They stayed the whole time and they were engrossed in it. And they were like, well, how did you decide you were doing? And it to me, it seemed like a simple production. It was 3 cameras, microphones. It wasn't anything. But they were so interested, and they were like, oh, well, how did you do this? Or how do you, or who gives the candidates the questions, and how do you set this up? And so sometimes I take it for granted, but when you came in the other day and you were kind of like, this is cool, it's like, this is cool. It's like, oh yeah, I'm here, every single day all year. Yeah. So sometimes you sort of lose perspective on it. So you said you were a business major before.
Yeah.
And I know I was telling you the other day, those skills are still useful, the business, but I like that you sort of went, well, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
And that you're going to pursue that.
It was just, I hated it. So it went in one ear, went out the other ear.
Yeah.
I remember I didn't get that far in it. All I learned to do was just make spreadsheets, basically, the one class, and then how to program the spreadsheets. And that was torture. And then I did basic financial accounting, and then I was like, if I do this for another 3.5 years, I won't make it out of here.
I won't make it through. Yeah. Those skills are useful to have. I was a business minor, and that stuff helped me in what I do now. But is it relevant if you're strictly if you want to go into broadcasts and film media? Maybe not. Maybe not necessarily. But I think there's also a place like Concord TV where you can actually learn hands-on skills. I mean, it's pretty basic, but I had you turn on our audio recording roadcaster and hit record. You're already going to start getting hands-on experience.
I've never been more terrified to press a record button in my life.
But then you'll get to a point where it's old hat, and you'll be showing other people how to do it, and it's before you know it, you'll be passing it on to other people.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago that I was the person who was afraid to hit the record button and who was, oh, I don't want to mess this up. And then you just kind of plunge into it, and then it becomes no big deal. Yeah. So, so it's great to have you. And do you have a favorite genre of media that you really like?
I go back it's always like I go back and forth. I'm like, my mind just can't decide what it likes. I like, for TV, I rewatch The Sopranos every other day.
Yeah.
Like, I just put it on. I'm like, all right, what episode? And then I click it, and then it's on for the next 4 hours.
Yep.
But then I'm like, I'm like getting obsessed with like sci-fi right now, but like really hardcore sci-fi, like Dune, but like the alternate versions of Dune.
Like the David Lynch stuff.
Yeah, like David Lynch, and then like, and even right now today I was watching something weird, and like just woke up and I'm just on my phone. Someone like, I love like fantasy stuff, and I love Dark Souls, like the grim dark fantasy, and someone was like, just put a couple of filters and photoshopped it to make it look like a dark 80s fantasy movie. And I was like, cool. I've watched 12 videos in the time from waking up this morning to being here on like how they did it. And like, I love just like that look of like that, like old, like resolution, like, and like, just like the armor.
So you were curious how they actually did it?
Yeah, I was, cause like, I want to, like, I love that, like, I don't watch a lot of 80s movie. I'm like going back and watching older things now, but I like the look a lot. And they just like like, I was like, how did you even do this? Cause it looks like it's in a movie, and they were just like cutting stuff out of the game and putting it with other things. And it looks like an 80s fantasy movie.
Yeah. What were they using so it's editing, but like they were putting filters on that they made?
I'm not even fully sure I understand it yet.
Yeah.
Like, because there was so many different people doing it. Like, I think one guy did it, and then now obviously there's like 200 other guys trying to replicate it.
Yeah.
But they just like changed the resolution, changed like the color grading, and it looks like, and like the I said the resolution, but like it looks like an 80s fantasy movie, and they just cut stuff out from other movies and other Dark Souls games, put it all together, and it looks like an 80s movie.
That's awesome.
Like, that's like so cool. I just thought that was like,
yeah,
I never would have thought of that, and then I was just like, that's so smart.
Yeah, one of the lessons we've done for like in our youth video camps a lot of times is how through the power of editing and music and stylistic choices, you could take the same content and you can change the meaning. There's a great video someone had posted to YouTube of like Captain Jack Sparrow from one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but they overlay it with different music or slightly different filters where they can make it comedic, or they can make it epic or tragic, or like you can manipulate footage. Yeah. That's it's the scary thing about media, right? But like, but the fact, I recorded a video on the green screen that's coming out this weekend, and I gave it to Matt and said, put a good background. Please don't do something ridiculous. Don't make me a meme, please.
Don't make me a meme.
Don't make me a meme, I told him. Yeah. And I don't think he did, as far as I know. But I'll be scanning Reddit looking for it just in case. But it is scary it's scary but powerful, but empowering, that you could take something and just create a filter. If you want to make it look like it was on VHS, you can do that in Premiere or After Effects. If you want to make it look like a silent film from the 1940s, you can add the kind of grain over it and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a lot. I had to do a project like that this year where I just had to like combine a bunch of media, like media convergence stuff. Yep. And then it was an abomination, but everyone thought it was funny. But it was just like, all right, get Patrick Bateman, get this the dancing Polish cow, put them all together, put it in Minecraft.
There you go.
Yeah. Like, it was, yeah. You could definitely change a lot with just editing it.
You can. And that's a lot of the kind of even like garbage stuff on YouTube that you see recommended. A lot of good stuff out there. But and that's, I mean, for us, holistically, ConcordTV is kind of competing with everything that's out there. Yeah. Which can be kind of intimidating. But I always kind of circle back to, and you may have seen some of our content before. Yeah. And people who follow us know we're not going to do clickbaity titles. We're not going to sell our souls. We're going to kind of like, but I will always try to put a good thumbnail with a video. I'll always try to put a good description, but we try not to like, we're not going to sink to certain levels of like, we used to call it like YouTube poop sort of, where it was just sort of like mismatch of like just random stuff where you could get lots of views, but then it's like, how do I tell my board what these videos, you know,
what these,
like who does
why
it
did
benefit?
you write gone wrong in this, like, so many times?
10 fails at this city council meeting that you won't believe. Like, no, it's like we may get less views, but we're going to kind of maintain integrity, which you don't see a lot of. I take pride in that kind of.
I was going to say the integrity thing is like definitely the most, I feel like if you don't have the integrity, it'll just come back to bite you later on.
Yeah.
Definitely, like none of those like YouTube channels are gonna last forever. Right. They might make a couple million while they're up now, but in the end, it's gonna just fade out.
Exactly, and it's up to each creator too, like their niche. Like I see some like YouTube like gaming people who you mentioned Total War, a guy who does Rome Total War content, but then what happens when he runs out of things with that game?
Yeah,
or someone who only makes videos about Grand Theft Auto, but then it's been out for 10 years and he gets
doesn't end.
Right, and then they have to go, well, what do I make content about now? So at least for us, because it's all about Concord, we will always have things happening in Concord.
Exactly.
So that's sort of our niche, that's our area. It won't get 20 million views, but we'll consistently we know what our wheelhouse is.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's no identity crisis.
Yeah.
You know? So pretty much that's the way I feel about that. So other thoughts, like what you're looking forward to over the next couple weeks before you go back to Plymouth?
Just like learning as much as I can because I want to go. I don't have any, as far as I know. I'm trying to remember what classes. I don't even remember what classes I have signed up for next semester.
That's forever. That's weeks from now. That's a lifetime from now.
Exactly. I'm like, I don't even know like if I'm really even recording anything this semester, and it's more of like the like understanding media part of it.
You should definitely do some hands-on production.
And I definitely I've been like wanting to do it for like so long, and I feel like it just kind of takes forever to get there.
Yep.
Because I've been doing this is. Now I started second half of last year. I started doing media stuff first half of this year and second half of this year. And I've barely done any I've done some hands-on stuff, but it wasn't like taught. I just it was just kind of like grab the camera, go figure it out later type of thing.
Yeah. I always found a good mix where you have to kind of learn how to learn.
Yeah.
Where some independent projects, like passion projects, where you teach yourself, like, oh, I want to do this, and then you look up how to do it, and you figure it out.
Yeah.
But also having some guidance and some structure. I mean, that's the great part about school.
Yeah.
I went to Colby Sawyer for media, and it was a great mix of, like, class and production, but I also kind of went like on my own and like did videos for like the school newspaper that we put on the website and stuff like that. So if you find opportunities like that, I think you're going to be in good shape.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And build up like a video portfolio and build your work up.
I want to do that too. Definitely. The portfolio is always the thing at the end of the last year. It's like, all right, what did you do?
Yeah.
And also you're allowed to like throw in whatever you made outside of school as well.
Sure.
So I'm definitely like want to like learn as much technical stuff as I can.
Yep.
And then just go all in. So, yeah.
And the good news is things you work on here you can also use.
Exactly, So, yeah.
So, no issues there. Well, Joe, thanks for hopping on the podcast. It's been about 20 minutes, which is usually my cutoff point for a podcast. So, thanks, everyone, if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on Anchor. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Let us know what you think, and we will see you, or you'll hear us next time.